Ad bhím na piscataway and a costank pemunki mata paniant nan gamik agus toxahent either aingi on Potomac agus Anacostia mar chefnori carta agus mar chaintóri carta don talav a bhuidim I mahasav an sa. A locht éisteachta agus sa locht féchana banim de bhórsíntir agus de bhaintir róchasacha na tíre a seasan sibh. Is de bhunnach bhú scrí mise in éing agus is caintóir dúchas gailing I mé tanga dúchas na háite sin. Tréf se chas a shal go héireach Imas mochailta go sin versol gan sim I glasa na gúr sin teil seo do chruch minting Shachron Hogus gan rim dom vale ruchish for kyun its clue fodin chafan is ni reket faste don rar och luson Da valle vorne go vai me bas Is brai avor knix schletem Is glaunte ferver martin hjoing is foem gach kashe Ik sneef go heeske, go shashid beel na marmor. Is braiad quile na granev niruch, a faskelin ver Imas gach klaun go vain und shanach os ga is dianon und red hier gov und brooks and shower Ta balle vorne go farshing faltuch I grir hantiv a chaun o tro. Govel grais lasser I grig a chinge rug var eni da vakich fos. Bien trial na sloite en dubbelrid nefa Talekjen fechlus fegradem vor Simpim faste ergobenet nefa Vem argin is gaging peatningum
Welcome, everyone. My name is John Fenn, and I'm the head of research at the American Folklife Center here in the Library of Congress. Welcome to the Benjamin Bakken Folklife Lecture Series with our guest Cormac O'Hay. We'll learn a little bit more about him in a few minutes. On behalf of all the staff and our director at the center, I welcome you into this room. The American Folklife Center documents and shares the many expressions of human experience to inspire, revitalize, and perpetuate living cultural traditions. Designated by the U.S. Congress as the National Center for Folklife Documentation and Research, the center meets its mission by stewarding archival collections, creating public programs, and exchanging knowledge and expertise. The center's vision is to encourage diversity of expression and foster community participation in the collective creation of cultural memory. The Bakken Lecture Series is one way we do this, and we have a special treat today because we have a scholar and a practitioner in the room with us. Cormac and I decided to use this in-conversation approach to kind of offer some context to the work he's doing, both as a singer and as a scholar. And we're going to talk about that, talk about some of the collections he's looking at, and get into a few things about the Musqueam singing tradition that Cormac comes out of. Now, so Cormac O'Hay, you are the Lomax Fellow, holding what is more formally known as the John B. Lovelace Fellowship for the Study of the Alan Lomax Collection. We have no acronym for that here at the Library of Congress, although we have an acronym for everything else. What does this position mean for you, this opportunity?
It means a huge golden opportunity, and a one that comes once in a lifetime, really. Thank you, John, by the way. So I'm here since the very beginning of January this year, and I'm working on the Alan Lomax collection that's here, physically in the library. I had intended to get this plug in a little later, but I think of doing it now. You can all access the Alan Lomax collection online, but also here in the American Folklife Center reading room, which is just around the corner here. That's that plug.
We'll help you get there.
So also maybe to give full disclosure, I prepared a lot of paper there. Well, the printer, it turned out to be a lot of paper. I don't think, and sitting up here with John, it makes it easier for me in a conversation rather than you looking at me reading from a page. So I'm going to try and wing it and make up as little as possible. Well, I'll be making it all up, of course. But so, and I may consult my paper from time to time. What we agreed to do was that I would try to speak and sing today, and hopefully maybe get maybe 4 or 5 songs, or maybe even more. And don't be surprised if you see, oh, why is he sitting down for that song? One of the technical gentlemen asked me, would I be sitting or standing? I don't know. There's less potential for feeling that you're on stage. This is Shanno singing, which I'll get into talking about, was never designed for stage, like so many other traditional art forms, I'm sure. So I may well sing sitting down for that reason, if you can follow that logic. It's also where I learned a lot of my songs would have been in the pub, and not just any pub, the highest pub in Ireland called the Top of Coombe, where I would have learned from local singers. It's actually in County Kerry. You can cut that out after, Glenn. But it would be considered the local pub for people from the village that I'm from, called Coolay, and the next village, Ballyvourne, and so on. And that's where I would have started what I consider to be an apprenticeship that I'm still on, learning from people who were singing there. But anyway, that's a long way of saying that would find yourself sitting down in a pub as well. You don't stand up to sing. Not all the time, anyway. You could also be standing and then be asked to sing. And there's an interesting thing I might get into about a noble call. It's not everywhere. It's basically it's a way maybe of acknowledgement, or maybe a way of keeping the singing going in that environment, which happens to be a pub. Where if you've just sang a song, you're entitled to or expected to choose the next singer. And that can't be yourself, right? Which unfortunately is what's going to happen here.
Right?
Yeah. So if somebody keeps their hand up long enough here, I'll call them, okay? But I'm talking about, where I started learning these songs as an adult. That was a charming, because then you can get coached. If you've just sang, you can get coached about who should sing next, and you can ignore that, or you can go with it and ask Mara or Breed or Donal or Sean or whoever it is to sing. And, well, unless there's really some good reason, they can't refuse to sing.
And I've been practicing my good reasons.
And yeah, very good. And you can't, as I said, you can't choose yourself, or you shouldn't. And that's why maybe, I don't know, it feels a bit strange if somebody in that kind of environment will just suddenly offer a song. And you'll also find that and I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about 30 years ago, the better singers won't even be asked until the end of the night. Because they can refuse. Or they usually have their own ways anyway of avoiding being asked. And people who don't understand that system aren't aware of it and don't put themselves forward as a selector, But that definitely wasn't on the script that's here.
We threw the script out. But I want to start with, you opened and indeed sung in Irish just now. And I'll say that he read the library's land acknowledgement statement that he had translated into Irish and then added some at the end, which I'll let him talk about. But I also want you to tell us a little about the Irish language and about the Gaeltacht.
Right, very good. Oh, the Gaeltacht. Thanks, John. So the Irish language, which sometimes is, maybe all the time, in this country is referred to as Gaelic. Use the word Irish, because if you're in Ireland, pejorative is too strong a word, but nobody calls, not even people who don't, not even Irish English speakers, use the word Gaelic. Just use the word Irish, the same as you use the word French, or German, or English, okay? Anyway, so that's the Irish language, right? The Irish for it is Gaeling. There's various dialects, we're up there, okay. The one on the right, the one where you see the sea, that's not a pirate joke, around it, that's today, okay. The Gaeltacht are those green areas where the Irish language is spoken in the community, not by everybody, but is a community language. And they have their own dialects as well. And I suppose not surprisingly, they also have their own sean-nós styles as distinct from each other. They're all in the Irish language, and I'll speak, I'm slowly letting go of the document in my mind. And maybe that's not a good idea. I've just realized it's on an upcoming slide. I'll talk about sean-nós.
Yeah, talk about sean-nós a little bit.
No?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Right. So what is sean-nós? That's a very, very big question. and very few people agree even on what it is. So what you'll hear me saying is what I agree with, and maybe not everybody agrees with what that is. So to start with me explaining the two, so it's not even a compound word, it's two words connected with a dash or a hyphen, right? Sean knows. The word Sean in Irish, the English word to correspond to that would be old. And Nos means way, habit, tradition, style, method. Okay, so the old way. But it's interesting that the term Sean Nos would not have been in existence before the turn of the last century. Whereas the actual singing that the words are trying to describe would have been for centuries in existence before that. Because in an Irish-speaking world, if you want to look at where the maps are greener, well, they're not concerned with label. It was the way singing was done. It survives in the map on the right. And so, as John pronounced exceptionally well, the word Gaeltacht means these areas where Irish is a community spoken language, as well as English. Anyone who speaks Irish in Ireland, unless they're very, very young, speaks English as well. But you have, and I believe it isn't, and there may be reasons for it, it isn't celebrated enough or even acknowledged enough a native speaker. I think there's a lot of issues to do with that we were a colony and that we were colonized linguistically as well as physically. And I'm working out some of these ideas. I'd like to tell them I've introduced the word finishing, but I don't know if that's happening. I'm finishing a PhD on this tradition of singing. It's called Tradition of Ránaíocht de Muscree, or the Muscree singing tradition, in the folklore department of UCC, or the University in Cork, in Ireland. And some of the time I've spent here, and that has not yet come to an end, thankfully, yet. I'm getting a lot of ideas about how to finish this PhD, right? Anyone who knows that struggle knows what I'm talking about. So that's Sean Nos, Gaeltacht, and the Irish language. These are all givens. If for somebody who grows up inside it. I think it's it is alluded to in graphical terms as emic, as opposed to etic. I don't know. I mean, I feel as if often in my life I felt as if I'm Oisín Iníag na Féine, and I'll explain that. Oisín, you might notice, is a name. It's an Irish name of the Fianna. He was Fionn McCool's son that went away. I'm going to fall into a wormhole here now, so I'm going to make it really fast. In Irish mythology, there was a band of heroes called the Fianna who protected the island of Ireland, which you see there. And it would have been all green, okay? And there's no borders on any of those maps either, by the way. And he met a beautiful woman called Niamh King Oer, Niamh of the golden hair, and he went away with her to the land of eternal youth, right? Tirnanog. An island, of eternal youth. Anyway, when he came back, where am I going with this? When he came back...
I'm growing up in...
Yes. Thank you, John.
I'm here.
So there's a phrase in Irish where you feel like he came back from having spent, he didn't know it, but he had spent 900 years in Tirnanog. And he pleaded with, I suppose, Niamh's father, who gave him, eventually he gave in and gave him a big white horse. And one condition, he could return to Ireland from wherever the island in the Atlantic is, okay? Not to step foot on the land of Ireland. But when so he said, yeah, fine, no problem. And you know what's going to happen. And so, but I'll try and control or minimize that story. We're not here talking about that, but he did come home. The strap under the horse, he noticed that the people of Ireland were after getting very small. They weren't giants like himself anymore. And there, he came across a bunch of men trying to move a big stone or big rock. And he said, oh, for God's sake, I'll help you. And he just started pushing it with his hand without getting off the horse. Steed. Okay, storytellers would make a much better job of this, right? Anyway, the saddle broke. He fell off the horse because it was a huge boulder, and he effectively stood on the land of Ireland, and so he aged all of the time he was away and died. Okay? But Oisín Iníoga na Féin is if you feel like you've arrived somewhere too late. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going around like that all the time, right? You know, nobody is. But I think it's a nice poetic reference to our mythology and so on. I actually had a translation company in a previous lifetime, and I called it Oisín, for my own satisfaction. I didn't tell anyone that long story, right? Anyway, now you might help me again. Why did I say Oisín Iníoga na Féin? Yeah, maybe to say that there's an obverse to that as well, is that the area I'm from, and at least one other person in the room is from, is Moose Cree. So it's, I feel like getting up and pointing at the, I should have got a laser. You can see where County Cork is in the southwest. It's this one. That's where we're from, okay? This one here. It's not in Kerry. It's in County Cork. Okay. And people have come collecting there for the last, this might be surprising, not just Alan Lomax in 1951 and other American song collectors after him that I may remember if I resist taking up the document again. But collectors have been coming to Moose Cree, right, which is made up of maybe 4 small villages, Coolay, Ballyvourne, Kilnamartra, and Bialangaerig. I'm sure maybe and Rennery. Okay, I don't think I've left anybody out now. And I'd end up naming the houses, and someone will say I was left out. But this area is like all Gaeltacht areas, is the heartland of the Irish language. It's also, particularly in the case of Moose Cree, has a very deep well of these songs. And they're not just songs in Irish, they're songs in English, and they're songs that are in Irish and in English at the same time, which in song studies has been given strange title, macaronic. It has something to do with Italian and a quilt, right. So I did read it right, yeah. They're bilingual songs. And I might sing one of them at the end, or I'm still enslaved by this document. It was at the end, but maybe for time, I really am concerned that I might be going on too much about one thing and not another. Maybe it's time.
You want to go to the next?
Yeah, I think it's, yes, thanks.
You're going to sing, right?
Yes.
You'll give us another song.
Yes.
I'll call on you. Okay.
Well, according to the system, you have to sing first. Yeah. But John was singing earlier, so that counts, right? So the man on the slide on your screen there is Sean O'Navab O'Sullivan. I never met him. I think he's a second cousin of my mother's dad. He made the song that I'm going to sing now, that I learned from my national school master, just to give you an idea of where I learned to sing. It's in the home, at home, in the home. It's also outside the home, right? In school, and then as you grow up, I suppose if you're any good, you're asked to sing at various things, right? Whether they're house parties. I haven't been in one of those in a while. And I don't know, that's after closing time, when people don't want to go to their own homes yet. They'd go to a house and they'd sing until very late or early in the morning. But this particular song is called Táim Sigus Máire. And it's not hard to sing or to remember, because I learned it 30 years ago from, yes, my national school master, Micheál O'Callagh. I think there's a picture of his dad on one of the slides coming up, actually. Folklore collector Prunchius O'Callagh. Yes, I just wanted to, you were asking me, what am I doing here? Well, I think I tried to answer that. I'm working on the Alan Lomax collection and a number of other projects. We'll get to some of those. But I couldn't have been here, I couldn't come here without the support and, I suppose, permission of my family at home. And I just want to acknowledge that to them. And I don't really dedicate songs, right? But I'm going to dedicate this one to them. And I'm going to stay sitting this time. The song is a very light-hearted song. It's about a man who's, well, it's himself, actually. And he's married a woman called Máire, and the wonderful life he has with her, or they have together, right? I mean, yeah, that's the song, basically. But try and listen if you can imagine. He's describing his contentment with his life. And there's a refrain in it as well, or a corfa, a chorus. You'll notice he's singing the same thing. You can join in, please, if you like. So you'll notice when it comes after each verse. Táim sigus máire agus sástan ar naginni, ó nás go go báting ag an állthóir ó bheannathim. Thug sé grár chádas ar aribh chum, hágus ar láimhís go brach níos scaramíd, mis sé seint ceol. Partini belegum rex faldi, o rex faldi I edel daidi. Tá tarhig fasim gardin guslachte he, Ulas biunain agus cúrini dargo. Siúcrim mála le rathe go taisce he, Chonsovus Mishlan, don vabis, don vanaltra, mish shaint kjol. Partini belegum rex faldi, o rex faldi I edel daidi. Tá tarhig fasim gardin guslachte he, Ulas biunain agus cúrini dargum. Siúcrim mála le rathe go taisce he, Chonsovus Mishlan, don vabis, don vanaltra, mis shaint ceol dóibh. Partini belegum rex faldi, o rex faldi die edel daidim. She Michele Shamaren stad van Valvashuil, ye gloas kan Cleavanis and Vab Hansgerucht. Stokken lavis na beranin te perabernig, ikne talis sig kronan dan lan vin mishishain kjol. Partini belgum rexfaldi, o rexfaldi I edel daidim. Shem richan an ardvike gerasta de skapering, iske lanigan tashing, gan gater gan aspering. Snorre hoke glanar of a matrevodi asafut, go dog dear live shing and nardig go parhus bets a shankjol. Partini belgum rexfaldi, o rexfaldi I edel daidi.
Thank you, Cormac. It's probably important to emphasize that Shano singing, it's unaccompanied a cappella, voice-only singing.
If I read my document, they would have heard that.
Well, hopefully they know by now, but again, trying to provide context to things, right?
It can be a challenge, I suppose, for Shano singers who are women and men, girls and boys. It can be a challenge. We are constantly being asked to explain ourselves, right? Or to maybe answer this terrible question: what's the English of that? Maybe I just take that worse than most people. I don't know. Maybe I do it and forget maybe. But you struggle on, right? Oh yes, what I was going to say was, in addition to that, let's say in this scenario of recorded music or commercially recorded music, Shano singers are constantly under pressure to have, at the very least, something going on in the background, right? Whether it's this kind of Celtic fog, synthesizer button, or something like that. And I was, as part of my field work at home, EMIC field work, for my PhD that I'm finishing, one of the singers that I interviewed told me, I was delighted, really delighted, that she's recording an album a cappella. And she was saying, I'm wondering whether, so I knew, I feel I know anyway, exactly the pressure she's feeling, that she needs to have some kind of instrumental or maybe a full band playing, right? In fact, she sings with a band usually, but she's talking about a record of her own. And I really hope she chooses to sing voice only, because she's a fantastic singer. And that's it. I think you all get what I'm saying there, right? You know, you can put music onto it after, you know, if you want. So maybe I'll take a cue off the slide.
Well, I was thinking, I mean, this is a good opportunity to talk a little bit about, not Lomax so much, we'll assume many people know who he is or can look him up, but the very particular element of the Lomax collection you're here to work on, because it's a small slice and it has to do with home.
Yeah, it's very small, but for me it's the most important bit. He spent 3 days in Moose Cree, in the part of Ireland, and 3 days, maybe as many weeks only, in Ireland, in the year 1951. There are others in the room, many others in this room, who would be much better than me to speak about how important Alan Lomax and his work was. So I'm not going to try. To folk music, to the recording of it over, is it 60 or 70?
Close to 70, yeah.
Okay, over 70 years. But I just want to make a very short point on that because, you know, there was a time I didn't know anything about Alan Lomax. He didn't just collect in America, he collected outside of America as well, in the Caribbean, in many locations in Europe, Italy, Spain, Portugal, I think, Romania, and then, oh, there's another word to put on your list of don't say, British Isles. Please. Not for the rest of today, anyway. If you're referring to Ireland in it, never say it. But so things are evolving, right? I mean, the term was probably being, it's in the last single-digit years that the Irish Department of Education actually legislated for textbooks to not use the British Isles. Right? I'm not up here to go on about that, right? But Lomax was using the term British Isles. And that's okay, it's historical, right? But it wasn't in the British Isles in 1951 either. But that's another story. It certainly wasn't. So he came to Ireland in 1951 and again in 1953, I believe. But in 1951, he did a tour of the important places: County Cork, Galway, and Donegal. So if you'll remember the slide that showed the green patches. So Cork is southwest, Galway is west, and Donegal is northwest, west, west, west. That's where you'll find the Irish language, and that's where you'll find sean-nós singing. And so he came to Muscree in 1951, and he recorded, I think, maybe 8 singers. And you're going to hear one of them shortly. Can I have a time check just in case that I'm gone away? Yeah, okay. We're going to see it sooner than I just saw John's watch. And her name is Elizabeth Cronin. Yeah. And if you are interested, and this is, look, okay, it's a plug, right? But Elizabeth Cronin, there's a book with 2 CDs of her singing in the American Folklife Center just around the corner, if you want to check that out. Oh, thanks. So you can recognize even from the back of the room, those red pins in a Google Maps kind of environment. They're the places Alan Lomax collected. Not sorry, in the back of the room, but all the way from the back of the room, you can see on the screen, those red pins are where Alan Lomax collected. I'll just make a quick reference to the Association of Cultural Equity, or ACE. There's a good acronym. There's a lot of them aren't good, but that's a good one, right? Which I believe Lomax himself founded in 1983. Anyway, there's Alan Lomax's material, not just from where I'm from, but from all the places with the red pins on the slide there. You can consult them online. And the Lomax, just use the search terms ACE or Lomax Digital Archive. That'll get you straight to it. We're going to hear one clip of, is that okay for that slide?
Yeah, should we go to Bess?
Maybe we should. Okay, and can I just mention, and I did say in my document, Cormac improvises here. So I'm not going to go to the document now, but I will improvise and quickly. So this is another thing that I'm developing here as part of my time here as Lomax scholar is, and yeah, I invented my own acronym as well, DORI, okay? Digital Humanities Optimized Record Improver. Yeah, improvement. It keeps changing. And anyway, I'll let you read the text there. I'll keep going because we don't have more than 20 minutes left. Yeah. So those 2 people are so what DORI is about is digital discoverability, to get material from the archive back to the community from where it was collected. And in the case in the case of many places. I'm concerned with the place that I'm from and the material that was collected in that place. I keep avoiding saying Moose Cree because I'm worried you mightn't know where it is, but I think you probably do by now, okay? There's material in a lot of what's called GLAMs, galleries, libraries, archives, museums, repositories, I'll just call them, right? In Dublin, in London, and here, that without digital, nobody like me could really consult them or hope to maybe even know that they're there, right? So that's what I'm developing is a process. I don't know what words I put up on the text there, is to digitally get them back, not just to get them back and throw them there. It's to consult with people who are active and passive. This is the jargon, right? Bearers of the tradition. So people who know where these songs came from, who can add what's called metadata to the record. The repositories in Dublin, there's about 20 of them. I'm not saying that place there up in Dublin. Well, I am kind of, but I'm hoping that they'll say, what? He went to Washington to figure this out, to come back and get us. And this is where ACE, I didn't do it justice from the last file. ACE have a very clear and noble process or initiative of repatriating the material that Alan Lomax collected to the creators of that material, be they the singers or the musicians, to community libraries or infotechs or whatever they are. And this ACE has done with Lomax collected material to places in Italy, Scotland, all over the South.
And yeah, throughout the United States.
In the United States.
Often working with the Library of Congress because we're the repository of record for their material. So it's a great collaboration.
So I'm hoping the same Library of Congress will be helping me move, not move, but to convince repositories in Dublin or outside of Moose Cree that they should be sharing it back to where it came from. And I'm pretty sure they will get on board.
Should we go to Best now?
I'll just say who they are.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's just the left third. The middle is Prunchius O'Callig, folklore collector. He's, I mentioned earlier, the guy who I learned that song from, Táimsigus Mara, that song. That's his father, Micheál O'Callig's father, Prunchius O'Callig. He collected, and we'll as soon as I stop talking, you move to the next slide, okay? When is that going to happen? Prunchius O'Callig collected in the parish of Ballyvourney, in Moose Cree, right? Two parishes, there's pieces of another two in Moose Cree as well. But let's call it Moose Cree. Prunchius O'Callig, also known as Frank Kelly, collected from 34 singers in the parishes of Ballyvourney and Kilnamartyra. He collected 220 songs. And of those in the first half of the 1930s, and they're in a repository in Dublin. Okay, but I did my MPhil in Cork on editing those songs. But I haven't published them yet.
No.
And I've been helped by IT people here in the AFC. For anyone who's still lagging behind with acronyms, that's the American Folklife Center, right? This is it. This is it, but it's not published yet. So in this is 220 songs that were collected in the 1930s. That digital is, well, this is done, but there's multiples of this in repositories or museums, galleries, and so on in Dublin. You've gone ahead. Can you go back one tick? The woman on the right, how many of the 220 songs? This is an 80-year-old woman who spoke no English. She's what's called, by linguists, a monoglot, right? A native of where I'm from. How many of the 220 songs do you think she gave the collector? that are in here? Somebody take a guess. Jesus Christ. The answer is 120, which is still impressive. Somebody said 220. Okay.
No, go to Bess. Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Do you want to introduce this, or should we just play the first clip?
I'll introduce it and then and very quickly so this is Elizabeth Cronin, who Seamus Ennis, I think, justifiably described as the queen of Muskerry singers. Alan Lomax collected from this lady in 1951. He wasn't the only person. Lomax wasn't the only collector. Clearly, this was a serious singer. Collectors had called and audio recorded her in 46. That was Kevin Danaher. 47, Seamus Ennis. And you'll see why Seamus Ennis brought Lomax to her in 51. And I think I'm delighted to say that I'm going to maybe just one sentence to explain the next three things. So this particular song, and I'm conscious it's probably 1:45 now, or maybe close. Anyway, this song that she's going to, I'll let Bess Cronin introduce. She's talking to Alan Lomax in 1951 in her kitchen, I imagine, in Ballymakeera. And she's introducing who made the song, who composed the song. His name is, well, I'll let her do it. But after she does it, another great singer from Muskerry, from Cooley, and there's a bit of video there, and it's again about the same song. And then, if we have time, if you haven't all ran out the door, I'll sing it. Just to show maybe continuity of a living oral tradition, and you'll see for yourself. I don't have to walk you through every second of it, but look out for Diarmidine sing. He's the man with the beard you'll see in the video. Talking about, he mentions Gene. That's Gene Ritchie, another American folk song collector. He talks very interestingly, and I'll stop at this, about how a singer in this Sean-Nós Muskerry tradition learns their songs. Just to give you an idea of the dates. Bess Cronin, 1951, and we'll go straight through then, right? Diarmidine, the video, 1991, and then 2024. I'll sing it here. We'll let them introduce themselves, right? And sing the first verse in each case, but I'll sing the full song. I could have said more.
We had, of course, we used to have lots of servants, you know, the servants at the time. You'd have one who was there for
Speaking in English, can you turn it up maybe a bit? No?
So on, and maybe they're from leaving, and another one would come, there'd be some new person always coming or going, or a girl, and cousins, and friends coming along like that and all that, you know, anyway.
And you'd say there was more singing back in those times than there is now?
Oh, a lot more, a lot more. A lot more. They have no songs now.
Well, do you think really no songs? Or
No songs, only very, very little. I wouldn't call them songs.
Well, the old music is very beautiful, there's no doubt
It is,
about
but
it.
they are making songs now, they have songs, but I don't think that they're nice. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm wrong, and that the songs are right, but I wouldn't think so. I'd rather hear an old man or an old woman that I'm singing at a wedding than to listen to all they have now from 6 o'clock in the evening until 11 by night on the radio.
Well, since I've come to Ireland, I can pretty well agree with you.
You can.
These Irish songs are just...
She's going to talk again. And then
Yes, but the priests weren't so
No,
fond
no.
of
this
him.
is about the man who made the
Again.
song.
Right, fresh start again. This man was following up.
This man was fond of a drop, and the priests didn't like it, so he often took the pledge, and I suppose broke the pledge, but himself and the priest fell out, and he didn't like him at all then, and they didn't like him, but he composed a song for himself and a little verse for the priest in the end. That's how he finished it. Is níl me fón was caras leis an also. Takas achta fan is kio is acharn moor chrim. Gar beder nam na gar chung ik soos muskornach. Es na shing port na kjol dag gring gedis ri.
So I'll just let his video go.
I have on tape a number of songs from Bess Cronin, and normally if you're trying to learn a song from somebody, you learn it exactly as that person sang it. But with Bess Cronin, it's practically impossible. You couldn't. She's impossible to imitate. Well, in that type of thing, I suppose you don't imitate anyway. You put your own version on it, but trying to get as close as possible to what Elizabeth Cronin sang, as I've heard it on tape. So what Jean referred to earlier as the pretty little decorations, they're the problem. And I suppose her style of singing was unique in that there's one song which I learned off tape not so long ago. It's known as Ovran Padbuí Olínse, from the other side of the Tapacum, the other side of the country bounds. And he was a fierce man for drink and everything, and he had made several attempts to reform and to take the pledge and everything like that. And the priests were down on top of him. And this song is described by Bess on the tape as well. She gives the story of the song and sings it as well. But I'll have a go at it. My very poor version of Bess Cronin's Grand Padbuí. Níl mahlan fáil bhás garas leis an álsa agus achtacha agus ceol agus achan mór an chríb. Scar beidir nam na óga gur chungig soas mas scórnig sna shining port na ceol dóir.
Can you freeze it? Can you leave him up there?
No.
Okay, that's fine. Rather than leave that guy up there. Okay. So I know we're under pressure for time. This is my mother's first cousin, Diarmuid O'Sullivan. He died tragically in a car accident in 1991. And he mentioned a tape, that he learned this song from a tape. There's no doubt that tape was an Alan Lomax tape. I subsequently, in 1991, I must have been 18 or something years old. I didn't have that tape yet, but I had a tape of Diarmuid singing it. So I suppose this word purist gets thrown around. You don't admit to using tapes, right? In learning your songs. But what you do in the privacy of your own bedroom or something, you don't have to admit to anything there. And so it was, I just wanted to give you plural, ye, an idea that, of course, the song existed before Bess Cronin. That's the point. Bess Cronin, so I'm very interested in the composer, Padbuí Olínse. I think I have some things in common with him, to be honest. But he made that song. I was very interested in it. I didn't know as much, well, because I was 18, I didn't know as much about Bess Cronin as I did about Diarmuid, because I was from that family. I'm O'Sullivan on my mother's side. Anyway, I think I'm going to stay sitting for this one, right? So had we more time, we'd have let them both sing the full song, but I'm going to take that privilege. So It's called Avran, which means song, and Pad is a version of Padraig or Patrick, and Bui, yellow. But certain families were known by a color, right? Might have had to do with their hair, if anything at all. Just a clan of that, and they were Lynches, right? O'Lynchig. I believe he was born in Ballyvourney, and he lived just west of the Top of Combe towards Kilgarvan. And as Bess Cronin pointed out, the temperance movement of or attempts of the local clergyman backfired on him, because there's someone singing about it in Washington today. I wish I could go through all the words, right? But he really gives it to them, especially in the last verse. And he says in the last verse, the last phrase, that I'm thinking, is there a classical reference? Hades, or hell will be full of priests, and singers and music makers will be in paradise up on top. So this is, and I think we have to stop after that, right? So this is Avran Fad Bui, which is also known, I've seen elsewhere referred to as Avran and Oil, the drinking song. Like, not a song, the song about drink is the translation of it, right? The drink song, not the drinking song. So he starts with, my health isn't well, and it goes like this. Níl mothlainter fón a bhó, scaras leis an ól, sa achas achtach agus cio, agus achan mór chrí. Scarbe derid nam na bhóga, gur chungig swas mascórnig, sna shining part na ceoldóibh, gur inkadísh chumríl. Ach eirig sigur rovach is kershigit vor sna hingish kidad gno damaren biodad win Began Cork Citier Sir Rotan na glini linter bordan Stagger fi fot gorda go gaffa brishetrind. Agus kershwet na fanna go saidi godin brahur toka she live hugus stoppa she hurol. Tor she chut crash de chun scarunt lesh an shore. Maris minnig glatte partuch nu nenach latsrod. Tantu nishid strare nil orgut na plata. Nil banagut na pashte achte fipi land de hjol. Agus tukig an basart de lubachlin nu marning. Speg tannem gebrachen ifiren dagon. Tama chri chodov le harnen u le goel bol figarting o darisia dara grev ifiren chor. On sagartis an brahar an taspogis an papa. Ní hócadís ma fart, mar a stopping shed an all. Ach an lan lehedi bí chraig me, nor a hog sin lauram lahir. Gunnoling fein is lainte, sco seeing she sco fall. Dana ser an star sin, gudi madin larn the varuch. Sma verily sma chartin dagas fen mord. Stalled fast rantiv ni mi an lum a hel rakoch gwil clanagael gan falhus gur baul veg fall. Tá mo fin máistig I grafa is a love is sagart agus brathir raur kirpig fiol. Da na ruchalan vastat ní churfie ort laruch gan argad no plata no bren churlen all. If in Holland vidir hagart agus brar he slocht medeligus carti gohardos agor. Sinead.
Do we have time for a few questions, Thea, do you think? Sure. I'm not going anywhere. Yeah, thank you so much, Cormac. And thanks to the Kluge Center for loaning us Cormac for a little bit today. Yeah, if anyone wants to stick around and ask a few questions, we have a few minutes. There's microphones and Thea has one. Oh, Doug right there? Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Hi, thank you. This is Anya. Thank you for this wonderful lecture. Cormac is a colleague of mine. I'm at the Kluge Center. And you do work on a lot of sort of collective memory, and I want to sort of push you, since you started out with like, we are on the island, we are our own island, right? And so along sort of capoeira styles or the Uyghur dances in Western provinces, right, in the China mainland. So what can you say about this sort of daily forms of repression, for lack of better words, that James Scott used to sort of, what are the singing? It's family stories, you mentioned that, but can you tell a bit more sort of about the repressive factor and the resilience here from your people? Thanks.
Okay. Thanks for the question. I certainly didn't feed you that one before this morning. So you have two questions there, I think. The repression, or and also what are the songs saying? Is it, or what are they about?
Exactly. Some songs have probably done myth and the family stuff, the
Yeah.
culture, but to what extent is there some resilience or against sort of the big evil?
Okay, I think I've started to articulate. Is there when you articulate to yourself, developing an idea, right? That it's possibly the only part of Ireland that was never colonized. I believe that, and even though, and I did say, and there's enough space for everything and everyone, right? By definition, Sean-Nós singing is, and we just don't have time to go into, I'm glad some of what I've been saying spoke to that it's just a term that is about 120 years old, right? There's a lot of songs older than that, right? And what do they speak about? Very often, of course, of the turmoil of dispossession and oppression and all the other Asians with it. I'm starting to articulate to myself, and I knock a few thousand words out of it in my PhD, I'm sure, is that the person who is taking, or the forces, the oppressor, the invader, could not follow you. And I mean, you know where, you see where the colors were starting, that the map of Ireland was going white, okay? That those Gaeltacht areas are in the west, and that's not by coincidence, historically, in the west of the island. That's where the Irish language ultimately was, I suppose, simplified, pushed. Gaeltacht areas were also taken over by the English invader, but their language could not be taken over, and nor could their songs. And so they either get extinguished. It's not like the land, the good land first, and then, you know, around the coasts and river valleys and stuff, right? But then where the Gaeltachts are is not good land, okay? And where the songs are, they can't reach. does that kind of address? Yeah, thanks for the question. Yeah. Arno.
Thank you so much. I wanted to ask you if the generation or generations younger than you, are there people?
That's a lot. That's a lot of generation.
Yeah. Are there, within the community, are there younger people, kids even, who are learning this and going to be carrying on the tradition that
Yes.
that you are carrying forward?
Yes, there are. I'm glad to say. I suppose there is a downside to that, but I mean, you have to evolve, right? What I described, you can't be bringing kids into a pub, right? But the pub itself is kind of disappearing, and all the good column things that the pub provided. So there's a lot less singing in pubs than when I was 18, and that's even in the Gaeltacht areas, right, or in the where you'd expect songs in Irish anyway to be sung. So what's replaced this is they use the word schemes, singing skemen, right? It's the plural for scheme. Maybe, so what they do is they bring singers in to teach young singers and kids really, but what they're doing, you've heard me say but a few times there, I'm struggling with it because you're uniforming the thing. It's not as organic, and the only way then you're nearly bringing it into an education system, right? Now there's a place for good stuff in the education system, of course, but it takes the organic, it takes the free flight out of it, I think. It's kind of conveyor belt, but there is no other, I'm coming to an acknowledgement or a realization, acceptance that in order to have numbers, you might have someone who'll break off that conveyor belt. We're talking about tiny numbers here, right? And fly themselves, right? I certainly had no conveyor belt. So maybe that's why, well, maybe I had an advantage of being born into a family that had singers, right? That were singers, that are singers. Yes, I did.
And we heard Bess Cronin say at the end of the interview, there's no singing anymore.
Yeah, it's a good
And that was in
point.
1951.
Yeah, and
I mean, Cormac and I have talked about this a little bit. Like,
and there
where
was
do you
another collector on that point, John. There was another collector way before digital, or cameras, or yeah. Well, I'll let you figure it out yourself. In 1911 and 1913, an English gentleman by the name of Martin Freeman came to Ballavourney, which is in Muscree, and collected 80 songs. Most of them from 4 singers, most of them from the senior singer of that 4, a gentleman by the name of Cruhra Coughlin, or Connie Coughlin. The name isn't in Ballavourney anymore. He was from Dirnasaugart. And he was saying to, you could see where I'm going with this, he was saying to the collector, Martin Freeman, it's a pity you didn't come 20 years earlier. They were all singing then, right? Yeah, sure, right? Because Bess Cronin's saying the same thing, best part of 50 years later. I think
70 years on, 74 years on.
Yes, I'm trying to think of, but the numbers are getting precariously small, to your question. So what happens in the kind of weekend or after school workshops that go on, let's say, year after year. So what can they do? They can't create the organic, the locus, right? So they drive them into competitions, right? And then that's medals and trophies. They're nearly as big as a Formula 1 trophy at this stage, right? They're bigger than the kids, right? Which is very exciting if you're 7 years old. But if you're 7 years old, you know, you're not going to be listening to me anyway. You're not going to be sitting here. So yeah, it's a cause for to keep an eye on. And concern, I don't know, but I've certainly, I believe, started to be more positive about these initiatives, because yeah, everything is needed really. The numbers are really, really small. And competitions have to have a part in it. They didn't have a part in it in which is why the quivering voice and the stagecraft wasn't hammered into me before competitions, because I don't sing on stage really, if I can avoid it. Yeah. Thanks for the question.
We can do one more. Sarah. It's in the back, Doug.
We can hear you, I'd say, yeah.
I'll try and be brave because I'm English, but not from the British Isles.
All right, you're all welcome.
I was wondering about the role of the Irish language in all of this. Is the Irish language being supported like it is, for example, in Wales, in terms of trying to bring it back? And how does that relate to the music? If the kids don't understand the Irish, how can they relate to the music? All that kind of thing. I was wondering. Thank you.
The numbers, I mean, it's a gargantuan task, however noble it is. Ireland currently is anglicised linguistically, and even the Gaeltacht areas included. There's an intense pressure on Irish language speakers, native Irish language speakers, or those who acquire. There are grades of, right? You know, people who might have, there are neighbours of mine who have no English spoken to them by their parents at home, but who speak Irish every bit as good as I do, right? Because that is, it's still taught by competent teachers, and it's the opportunity to speak in the shop, in the football club, or socially, is there. But there are vast parts of Ireland that have very little relationship with the Irish language, except in the education system. But it doesn't mean, and look, I'm a trained secondary school teacher myself, and I don't always join in the blood sport of giving out about secondary school teachers, but not all of them are really into teaching Irish, even though they're Irish teachers. And I'm sure that happens in Wales and Scotland, as well as many, many other places around the world outside of the British Isles and Ireland. Yeah, thanks for the question. I'd be optimistic, and maybe this might sound like an afterthought. I'd like to be optimistic. There's a difference, I suppose. I speak Irish to my kids, even though we can speak English as well, you know, and French as well, as it happens. But no, the default language and the texts I write to them from here are in Irish, and that's thankfully that's not entirely unique, but the pressure. And it's going back to Arno's question, the pressure on the Irish language to remain a community language is enormous. The anglicising, so Irish speakers in Ireland have now to deal with an anglicised Irish civil structure, civil service, everything. And we are looked upon as the other. As you know, why do you want that in Irish? Or the person who speaks Irish isn't at work today. This kind of thing, right? So, if you're in a hurry and you're not like someone who's looking for a confrontation like me, maybe you'll just ask for the service in English. But a lot of these songs go back to so there's rebel songs, but they're kind of ballads, right? They're not sean-nós, right? And I don't know how much time we have left, but the older songs are a window into, I suppose, a song I'm thinking of in particular would be considered like maybe it's too long to sing it now, a kind of a national anthem in Muscree. It's called Gillamar, and it's a poet from, I just Googled it so I wouldn't mess this up this morning, early 18th century. Okay, I will. But if anyone has to leave, like, please don't be worried. I close my eyes. I won't see you leaving. So it's called Gillamar, and is it okay? Yeah. It has Corfa as well. I'm adamant in getting this in. It's sang by a choir that I joined at a very young age. That was established, among others, by Sean O'Riordan before I was born, 1963. In Coolea, and so I would have been learning and surrounded by singers in that choir. It was a church choir, but we would sing in concerts and socially as well, and still do. And this song has really been made by this choir. And is recognizable by English and Irish-speaking Irish people as being from Muscree. And so if we are in this situation on stage or backstage, green room situation, it's often happened that there's a lot of tension about handing out the verses and fighting over who's getting the verses. There's only so many verses in it, and why didn't I get that verse and stuff like that. But that problem, it doesn't apply today because I'm going to sing all the verses. Okay. Yeah.
Unless John wants to join. Yeah, I'll jump in.
And I'm very glad to do that. I'm also very grateful to all the staff in the American Folklife Centre, in the various divisions, in the Clugie Centre, of course, who have all been very, very good to me since I got here and continue to be. But other divisions, other collections as well, the music division in the Madison building, and some great conversations that I've just started having with those specialists and librarians, as well as the ones here. And so I hope I haven't left anybody out. Other than the man, I suppose, who has been the best contact, friend and promoter and protector. And I'd really like you to give a round of applause to echo my acknowledgement of him, and that's John Fenn.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Colin.
So this is not a short song, but you can escape away. Just taking a mental picture of who's here. Okay. And as I said, and because I want this to go on record, I'll sing all the verses because sometimes I mightn't get even one verse, and that can cause a lot of trouble. So it was to come back to all the great questions, and thank you very much. This is from a man called Sean Clárach MacDonald, a great Munster poet who was born in the 1690s. So this song predates all those maps. This song, and I suppose it's a song of hope. It goes back to the Jacobite era of the change of the English throne, right? Right? Not the throne, but affecting Ireland. And so I'll just explain the refrain, the Corfa, and it might explain a good bit of it. So the woman is singing, that's a device, or that's Ireland, basically. Ireland is the woman. In this style of poetry, Aisling poetry. And she's hoping that her hero, her Caesar, she says even in the first verse, will come back. So it might sound kind of counterintuitive or making, what is this a song about loss? No, it's a song about the potential of recovery and hope. It's called Gillamar. I'll just take one drop of water because it's not a short song. And please join in if you like in the chorus. You'll figure out pretty quickly where it is. Shall darosim vaiden hev sinishim vain truchratis re mochele traun daun gotren de varne gnukson imigen Shem Alech Mo Yelemar Shem O Hezer Gilemar Son Asheni Vores Fen Olog Gen Mo Yelemar Bim shibon bort gachloi kigo cruig saturna nor os guidog wangon bochel bio is nariv tortorish gweg mavron Shem Alech Mo Yelemar Shem O Hezer Gilemar Son Asheni Vores Fen Olog Gen Mo Yelemar Ni lauren kwach gosur kernon is nil go gair gil tiv kno namadjan hauriging launtiv kjag o dem igwang an bochel bio Shem Alech Mo Yelemar Shem O Hezer Gilemar Son Asheni Vores Fen Olog Gen Mo Yelemar Markuch wasel oivruch og gas gan groem is urkis no glak is loem nuch luing lo ig taskert en tlo sig torgan tron Shem Alech Mo Yelemar Shem O Hezer Gilemar Son Asheni Vores Fen Olog Gen Mo Yelemar Shainter start klar skiv kjølis linter tantiv karter bord lehin tingard gan heim gan hjå Chon sel island til daldon lån Gillemar se sjalfego is reguler fui chlokvihu Son asjeni våres fen Olog gen mo Gillemar Shem Alech Mo Gillemar Shem O Hezer Gilemar Son asjeni våres Olog gen mo yin le mar